in those days, he took me to the hospital for treatments, and uh, the medical personnel there gave me injection. Unfortunately, he
Hmm.
injected me where he wasn't supposed to, and then
Wow.
that was us. It led to a whole new life for someone who has been running around before. Now things had to change. I can't walk
Hmm.
like every other boys and girls in the streets
Oh,
again.
wow.
So I had to start crawling. And
Oh
so
my God.
I can't forget the very first day I got to primary school then. Every other kids in
Wow.
class started crying,
Oh
weeping,
my God.
running away.
He was discriminated as a child, but today he's breaking barriers. This is the story of Mr. Olajide Funsho Benjamin in today's episode of Living Beyond Limitations.
Hello, Mr. Jide. Welcome to Living Beyond Limitations. It's good to have you here, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for honoring my invitation. You have like a very large profile that I can't even talk about. So I'll give you the honor to to tell our viewers and listeners who Mr. Olajide Funsho Benjamin is.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. My name is Olajide Funsho Benjamin, and I am the Executive Director of Disability Not a Barrier Initiative, an organization of persons with disabilities that promotes equity, inclusion, and justice for persons with disabilities. I am the immediate past General Secretary of a Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities. I am the State Coordinator of Community Forest Watch. I am also the State Coordinator for Why Vote Niger in
Wow.
Ekiti State.
Mm.
I am one of the Ekiti State Steering Committee on Open Government Partnership. I am from Ekiti State, the fountain of knowledge, so to say.
Okay, tell us.
Of course. So, and then I am a graduate of computer engineering and computer science together. I'm a data analyst, graphics designer, public
Hmm.
affairs analyst, web designer, and a few others. And I am a person with physical disabilities. I'm married with three kids.
Wow, wow. You see, like I just said, like your profile is very large. I am this, I am that. And I'm like, when am I going to, tell people I am this, I am that?
Uh, I guess you just don't want to talk about it.
I know. Okay, so computer science, yeah, that's what I studied, first degree, second degree. Yeah, so we're in the same
Oh,
field, yeah.
so you see now.
Yeah. It's so good to have you here. So I'm not trying to call you old, but I've just had like very young people my age mates. So I can't just wait to, hear your perspective about the whole disability thing. So good to have you here. I'm just very excited having you here.
I'm
Okay.
excited too.
Thank you. Okay. So your name on Facebook, there is Bishop attached to it. That's right. So are you aspiring to become a bishop or is just a nickname?
So God has not called me yet. So when
Okay.
he calls me, I'll definitely answer. So, however, I think I've always been a church person, so to
Okay.
say, in Nigerian parlance, and then I love God. Uh, I've
Mhm.
always been a worker in the church, and so I think lots of people sees me as the gentle type.
Mm.
However, the name Bishop actually came to me when I was in the higher institution and I was contesting for the position of the General Secretary of the Student Union Government. And then
Okay.
during that period, people felt that apart from disability, it's
Mm.
also the gentle type. So,
Mm.
and that was where they started talking about bishop. That is a bishop. So, and a Christian coming into the fold of
Mm.
student unionism. So, and that was how it started. And of course, the name that stuck with me since then. And of course, I actually won the election. And I think I
Okay.
was the first person with disability to hold student union position in the school. So I think since then, the name has had stuck with me. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't actually know my name till date.
Oh,
Lots
wow.
of people who knows me only
Hmm.
knows me by the name Bishop.
Bishop.
So
Oh,
most
wow.
people don't actually know my real name.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love that. So, we would like to hear the story behind the physical impairments.
Okay. All right. So I was already 6 years plus before uh, I was just a little bit sick uh, in those days, and then I was already walking around, running around, playing around, just like every other kids. But life happens, and then I
Wow.
took ill just a little. And my dad was the kind of person that just don't mention that you have headache. The
Hmm.
moment you mention you have headache, don't worry, you are going to the hospital, you are going to take injection. So it's mandatory. So
Hmm.
it's either you keep quiet and endure that headache, or you talk about it, then you go to the hospital. So the next thing was that they took me to the hospital for treatments, and uh, the medical personnel there gave me injection. Unfortunately, he
Hmm.
injected me where he wasn't supposed to, and then
Wow.
that was all. So, and of course, that changed a lot of things. It led to a whole new life for someone who has been running around before. Now, things had to change. I can't walk
Hmm.
like every other boys and girls in the streets
Oh,
again.
wow.
So I had to start crawling, and
Oh,
so
my God.
and in those days, it's always
Hmm.
you have to get hold to certain age before you start schooling.
Hmm.
So, and I haven't even started schooling then. So by the time it was time for me to go to school, it's a bit difficult because lots of family friends, lots of neighbors kept on questioning the fact that would he be able to go to school? What is the essence of? And in those days, the moment you are a person with disability, you'll be left at home. You understand now? So while
Yeah.
everybody goes out for their daily work, you have to stay at home. So, and that was the story then. But I think my dad took the decision that somehow, I
Hmm.
will have to fashion a way out of ensuring that I go to school. So, and he registered me in school, and I can't forget the very first day I got to school, the primary school then, and it was tough because every other kids in class, I was way older than them, and
Hmm.
every other kids in
Wow.
class started crying,
Oh,
weeping,
my God.
running away. You
Oh,
have to
my
crawl
God.
like as if you have seen a chimpanzee, only that it's not having all of these
Wow.
hairy parts. So all of them started weeping and crying, and
Oh, my God.
so I remember even the following day, a lot of parents came to school to complain that their kids told them
Wow.
at home that there was something in their class. They didn't even say
Something.
somebody. So,
Wow.
because my dad was a senior teacher,
Hmm.
so the teachers couldn't chase me away. Some of
Hmm.
them were murmuring, some of them were complaining internally, but they couldn't say it out because my dad was, the strong head type. So they couldn't convince him otherwise, so I had to stay. But good for me, God helped me, and I did well in primary school, secondary school, and I represented the school at several programs, quiz
Oh,
competitions, debate
wow. Oh, that's
competitions.
great.
I
Hmm.
represented Ekiti State, but of course it was tough,
Wow. Yeah.
but for me in those days, I think I was only lucky that I have the kind of father I had then, you know. And in those days, he was one of the few who had this Suzuki 100 motorcycle. So he will always be the one to take me to school every morning,
Hmm.
and he will be the one to take me back later in the day. But you cannot shy away from the aspect of discrimination. where
Yeah.
every kids look at you. And that was why I've always advocated for inclusive education, because as time went by in school, most of the students, they became adjusted, they became adapted to seeing me. So it was no longer new to them. And
Yeah.
by so doing, it will automatically eliminate stereotypes, it will automatically eliminate discrimination. So for me, I think I've just been lucky to have the kind of people I have around me. And that was one of the reasons why I set up the Nabi, because I felt that what I enjoyed, a
Hmm.
vast majority of persons with disabilities do not even have just 0.5% of it.
Hmm.
Some don't have parents who cared for them. Some
Yeah.
don't even have access to go to school. Even those
School.
who have access to go to school, they do not have the kind of support that I got during the time I was going to school. So it was difficult for a lot of people out there, and I think uh, we can, step in and begin to help them and begin to see how we can make our society better. What I went through, I don't pray that others will have to go through it, in terms of
Wow.
discrimination, in terms of
Hmm.
stereotypes. So, but by and large, I think I am one of the lucky ones.
Wow. What's the story? I'm just like, so you were sick, and as a little boy, just going to the hospital, and
Yeah.
bam, you became a person with physical impairment. You said you were crawling, using crutches right now. So
Yes,
why
yes.
crawling? There was no aid for you at that point.
No, no hate. And as at that time, in fact, I never for once set my eyes on a crutches or a wheelchair
Oh,
during all
wow.
those periods. I never for once saw it. In fact, I never even imagined that there was something like that.
Hmm. Oh,
So
wow. That's like
because every
ancient
other
days.
so because every other kids with disabilities, every other older persons with disabilities that I see, especially people with physical disabilities, they also
Yeah.
crawl.
Crawl. Wow.
So there was, in those days, there was no wheelchair, there was no crutches. So
Crutches.
everybody had to crawl. So that was
Wow.
just it. And I did that for quite some times before my brother, my firstborn, he was the one that came back home from Lagos. And having been able to see what was obtainable in the city then. So he came back and he said, like, okay, that I think he can actually get like a wood uh, that
Wow.
would look like Y, letter Y. He went into the bush and then he cut branches of a tree that looks like a Y, and then
Oh,
he gave
wow.
it to me. And that was where I started with crutches. So, and it
Mm,
was what I kept on using until I finished my secondary school. And
wow.
so when I was about entering into higher institution, they now gave it to one carpenter, you know, who now did a prototype of a crutches for me,
Hmm.
with
Okay.
cushion on it and
Hmm.
everything. So, and that was what I kept on using in my. As a matter of fact, I graduated before I started making use of these steel crutches.
Crutches. Wow.
Yeah.
Just imagine it like probably they graduated to using a stick. I'm just trying to picture the whole thing. That would have
Hmm.
been like a whole lot, having to,
Yeah.
juggle school with that. But that didn't stop you. You're a professional. I mean, see your profile. You held a lot of positions, different places, and all that. And you have your initiative as well, disability not a
Yeah.
barrier. Okay, so in your professional space, how have you been able to overcome limitations as a person with physical impairment?
So I think let me say that maybe I have two professions now.
Okay.
One is the aspect of being a social worker, All
Okay.
right. And then the second one is the aspect of ICT.
Mm.
And I think generally the aspect of ICT don't
Mm.
really hinders persons with disabilities much, especially persons with physical disabilities. And
Yeah.
then I just say this, that I was initially offered admission to study the mechanical engineering, and that
Okay.
was actually what I applied for. So, but on getting to school, I was advised to go into the field of computer, that suits me well, considering my
Yeah.
disability, that I may not be able to function effectively in the mechanical engineering space. That
Mm.
it would be better for me to choose another path. And that was when I did a change of course and I went into computer engineering. So I think most of the work in within the ICT space, they are mostly works that may require you to just sit down and do your
Yeah.
normal thing.
Well,
So
yeah, that's true.
it's not really tough. And looking at my other profession, which is
Mm.
the space of social work,
Yeah.
uh, of course, discrimination also abounds. So even
Mm.
for those who are without disabilities, you still have the discrimination, you still have this shrinking civic space. And of
Mm.
course, oftentimes when I talk and discuss about, trending issues, policy issues and stuffs like that, and they tend to get surprised that, ha, how did you do
Mm-hmm.
it? How did you get to know some of these things? So, because
Yeah.
normally they are not expecting a person with disability to be vast enough to discuss about some of
Mm.
those issues. So
Exactly.
normally they expect that when you come to their program, when they invite you, all what you should come and talk about is disability inclusion.
Disability. Exactly.
So they are not expecting you to talk about maybe electoral reform, political participation. They are not expecting you to talk about climate justice, climate change, climate adaptation. They are not expecting you to be talking about accessible healthcare. They are not expecting you to be talking about some of these things. When I became one of the steering committee members in Ekiti State on open government partnership, a lot of people were surprised that, so what are you doing there? What is your own input? Because they are
Hmm.
thinking that all my focus should always be around disability.
Disability.
So I've turned down several positions, both within the state, being offered to me, just on the basis of the fact that they wanted me to hold such positions on the basis of disability. And like in government, why must you give me special assistant or special advisor to the governor on disability matters?
Yeah.
I studied computer engineering. I also have BSc in computer science. So why not take me to, maybe Ministry of Science and Technology?
Exactly. That's
Can't I
true.
handle such? What about Ministry of
Positions.
Innovation? And that is the stereotypes we are talking about. So why must you
Mm.
always fix me up around disability matters?
Mm.
I will always talk about disability matters, but that does not mean that I cannot also talk about other issues and work around other issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it still boils down to the discrimination.
The old mentality, the old discrimination. And also, I think like persons with disabilities too, they've come to accept that, that space, boxing themselves like, okay, when I go out somewhere, it has to be like disability. All I have to do is disability advocacy, disability. Yeah, it's good to,
Yeah,
advocate for disability, but I mean, I think you should build capacity. And I'm doing that. Like, I don't go out and disability. Yeah, I'm a teens coach. Yeah, I
hmm,
have a foundation. It's not all about persons with disability. So I think we also have to
absolutely.
change the narrative and enlighten persons with disability that, okay, you should build capacity and people should see your works.
I think it's one of those things that we do at Dinabi because
Oh, I was
I've
just going to
always
say that.
so we have a program that we usually do every year that we call Digitability, and during that period we usually train people and not just persons with disabilities. And that's
Mm,
just the difference there. So it's
yeah,
not just persons with disabilities alone, but youth generally. And we
exactly.
usually train them around digital inclusion. So we train them around web design, graphics design, data analysis, and visualization and stuff like that. So, and I've always told the persons with disabilities, as many of them that cares to listen to me, I've always told them that the only way you can stand out, the only way they can respect you is when you have a lot of things you are doing, is when you have a lot of sources of income around you, is when you
Yeah.
have a lot of skills that you can showcase here and there. Then
Yeah.
it will get to a time that they will be the one that will begin to run after you. I can begin to talk about a lot of things that I do. Till date, I still design graphics for people.
Wow.
I still create that time to do it. You understand now? So, and
Yeah.
I've developed several websites, and a lot of them I'm still managing them for so many organizations, so many companies, so many schools. So I do a lot of things, and it's because I was intentional about it, learning as many things that comes my way. I'm not the
Yeah.
type that will just see people doing something and I will have the belief that because I'm a person with disability that I cannot do it. No,
Do it.
let me
Yeah.
also try my hand on it. So I strongly believe that persons with disabilities should continue to look beyond the disability.
The
Yes,
disability. Yeah.
I'm the type that usually preach acceptability, but my preaching around acceptability is the fact that you need to accept the fact that you are a person with disability
Disability. Yeah.
and move on with your life. When you accept that, yes, I can confirm now that I am now a person with disability. So what can I do? How can I make my life better? Let me move on from there. So you need to accept first, because there are some people that are still living in self-denial. They don't want to identify that they are persons with disabilities until discrimination sets in for them. That is when their eyes go clear. Like they do say in my village, they say their eye go clear. So you need to accept who you are. I always want people to know me for who I am. See
Yeah.
me, and if you like me, good. If you don't like me, suit yourself. I will find those people who like me. So
Yeah.
I think that is my own preaching around acceptability, that you need to accept who you are. But in accepting who you are, that does not now mean that you must now limit yourself to
To
disability
yourself.
rights and disability
Yes.
views.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking about acceptability, let's go there. You're a person of faith, and you just said something. Accept who you are, accept the fact that you have a disability, and live beyond that disability. But in where we are from, most people believe that living with a disability, it means you don't have faith. I've met like a couple of people. Oh, you have to pray. You have to pray. Your sight has to come back. The Lord will do it. And you're a person of faith. So,
Yeah.
what would you say about faith and disability? Does that mean that you don't have faith because you've accepted your impairment?
So in terms of faith, yes, I believe strongly in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I believe strongly in God, and I believe that miracles do happen, and He can do anything. But I've gone beyond that. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever prayed for me to walk,
Well,
even when I was still very young.
young.
I never remembered any time I made my prayers that I want to walk. So that's never been part of me. So, and let's just be sincere. I think I've seen enough in Nigeria, especially Nigerian pastors. So when you see them carrying crutches, throwing up wheelchairs, during their crusades, just
Crusades,
give them
yeah.
few months. Just give them few months. After a few months, you begin to hear stories of that same person. You understand now? So that does not mean that miracles don't
Miracles
happen.
don't happen. Yeah.
So I believe in miracle. But my point is this. So even if you start walking again, suddenly you start walking. So what difference does it make? So
Exactly.
if you don't have skills, if you don't have education, and
Hmm.
suddenly you start walking, what difference does it make? So, and if it happens that I walk, then so be it. So, but of course, what is that going to do to me? Even if I walk today, perhaps maybe I want to start joining Usain Bolt to begin to run, right? Yes, I know that it may significantly, at some points, hinders me from doing one or two things. But also, perhaps
Yeah.
maybe I want to play football and I cannot play football. So maybe that may be one area I'll be looking at. Who
Mm.
football help? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. We here, Babeg.
it's not mandate. So and yet, even beyond that, we still
Mm.
have people with physical disabilities that are playing their own,
Football.
because
Yeah.
I see them all around too. So,
Mm.
which means that the world is advancing, and then, of course, we need to begin to also understand that the world is advancing. And then
Mm.
we need to begin to look beyond all these miracles and disabilities. But just like you asked,
Mm.
if anybody desires miracle, I am not stopping them from desiring it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
they can
Yes.
aspire for it. But as for me, Olajide Funsho Benjamin, I am not interested.
Hmm.
But
Yes,
if God
sir.
deems it fit to give me, good, no problem. But it doesn't change who I am already.
Yeah, the core of who you are, it's not whether you have an impairment or not. It is deep inside you, your qualities, your values, your purpose, what God has called you to do, who God has called you to
Yeah.
become. It doesn't matter whether you have an impairment or not. Mm,
Now that you even talked about the issue of purpose, and
mm,
let me just tell you this now. And I have said it over and over again at several places that I've been invited to come and speak. And I said, hadn't been that I do not have a disability,
mm,
there are only two jobs, only two professions that I could have found myself in.
mm,
One, it's either I become a military officer. The other one is that I would have become a thug. So
mm.
either of the two, I would have chosen one. So
Good.
I guess that there's just a purpose
Mm,
for me for being like
yeah,
this, and I think
exactly.
I do not regret it. Of course,
Mm.
do I even have an option?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, in Nigeria, there are like 30 million persons with disabilities. Are you saying God doesn't know what he's doing? Like, if it's God's will for you to, see again, walk again, talk again, it's fine. Let his will be done. Just keep living your life. Thank you.
That's it.
So, marriage, you've been married for 19 years and counting. That's like a very,
Yeah.
very long time. You got married when I was still a teenager. Like, oh my God, we should learn from you. So, how has your wife supported you as a man with disability, and what role does family play in the lives of persons with disabilities?
So, of course, it stabilizes you as a
Hmm.
person. Uh, so if you have a family, if you have wife, if you have husband, of course, it stabilizes you, and
Hmm.
it also gives you the sense of urgency that you need to be active, that you need to be gainfully employed, that you
Hmm.
need to find something worthwhile doing. For me, it's been a stabilizing factor for me. Okay. Then,
Hmm.
of course, so sometimes it all depends on you who you get married to. Of course, for me, I think I've been lucky. I've gotten the kind of support that I should be able to get, and
Hmm.
it has really helped. It has really helped me a lot. So I think I'm where I am today because,
Hmm.
they said uh, when you marry wrongly,
Hmm.
you I've forgotten how they said it in that place where I saw it, that maybe the person is finished completely. So and it's just and it's just like that. So, but well, of course, when you also married good, then you get the best out of life. So, what you are supposed to begin to struggle for alone, and you are
Hmm.
able to get somebody that can also contribute, that can also assist you, that can also encourage you. Because as a person with disability, uh, you know, mental aspect
Well
of life
being.
is also
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
always need support, where you will always need encouragement, where you will always need somebody to talk to sometimes. So, and that also comes in. And if you're able to get this, then you are good to go in life.
Beautifully said. Support is very, very necessary. Like you have someone, that can help you do life together. Two
Yeah,
heads are
yeah,
better
do
than
life together.
one. Yeah. Yeah. So for me too, my husband has been like a very, very great support. Where I got married as a person without disability, but along the line, yeah, it happened for he has helped me a whole lot. Yeah, supporting me in my areas of limitations and all that. So it's very, very important for persons with disabilities to have that. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Jide, for this insightful
thank you.
conversation. I mean, you've shared a lot. I've learned a lot from you. I am so happy to hear your perspective about life, living with disability, faith, marriage, being a professional, and all that. Thank you so much. So, as we come to an end, I would like you to speak to persons living with disabilities, aspiring to get married.
Okay, so I remember one of my pastors then, and I remember the day the pastor told me that, look, he said, Jide, don't ever marry somebody who is not a graduate. Oh. Don't say because of your disability. Don't
Hmm.
settle for less. And it stuck with me, and that was exactly what I did eventually. So, heeded his advice. And that's the same advice I will also tell people. But
Hmm.
before you can begin to choose, you can begin to decide that I want this, I want that, and I don't want this, I don't want that, you must also ensure that, yes, you can stand on your feet. Now,
Yeah.
standing on your feet doesn't mean the physical feet, but
Hmm.
that you have something that you can also bargain with. So you must be able to have something that you also are bringing to the table that you can contribute. All right. Forget it, you have your choice. All right. So that's my own advice to the intending people who wants to go into marriage and who are persons with disabilities, that with patience, with hard work, and with perseverance, and being so committed to developing yourself skill wise, and making sure that you are able to earn a living for yourself, then definitely you'll be able to get the best of the best in the society. And you don't necessarily even need to, get married to people with disabilities like yourself. Like me, my wife is very, very, can walk around and move around like she likes.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Hmm.
and you too, you can do the same. That does not mean that maybe I'm saying that the people with disabilities cannot marry one another. Yes, they can.
Hmm.
If that is
Hmm.
what they want, they can.
Hmm.
Uh, I still feel that we are talking about inclusion, and we are talking just like we were talking about inclusive education. So the moment
Yeah.
we are talking about things like that, then I also feel that even in the aspect of marriage, we should also
Marriage.
make it inclusive.
Hmm.
So that's my own advice to them.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you very much once again for being on Living Beyond Limitations.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for watching today's episode of Living Beyond Limitations. I hope you've learned a couple of things from Mr. Olajide Funsho Benjamin. Stay tuned as we bring you more inspiring stories and practical tips that would empower you to live your best life. Bye for now. Until next time, keep living beyond your limitations.